So here we are. We're in this wild new era where AI can spin up code pretty much on demand. And yeah, it's incredible. But it also begs a huge question, right? If the AI is writing the code, what's left for us to do? What is our job now?
You know, it's funny. Way back in 1985, a computer scientist named Peter Nahr said something that is more relevant today than ever before. He said that the code you see on the screen, that's just a shadow. The real program, well, that's the theory, the mental model of how everything connects, that lives inside a programmer's head.
And that right there is the big question hanging over all of us. AI can generate the shadow, the code, in an instant. But if we're not carefully building that mental model, the actual program, then who is? It's a question that's causing a lot of anxiety for sure.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we have to get super clear on that distinction Nahr was talking about. These new AI tools are so good, so fast, that it's easy to get confused and think the code they output is the work. But it's not. They're two very different things. And when we confuse the two, we start racking up a whole new kind of technical debt. We're calling it comprehension debt. It's the price we pay down the line for shipping AI-generated code that we don't truly deeply understand. Sure, it works, until it breaks spectacularly, and we're left staring at it with absolutely no idea why.
So, what's the antidote to all this? Well, it's a skill that senior developers have been building for decades, but now it's pretty much the entire job, right from day one. And that skill is systems thinking.
So what exactly is systems thinking? Let's be clear, it's not about knowing every single line of code or every tiny component in isolation. Nope. It's about understanding the relationships, the connections, the dance between all those components. It's about asking, if I poke this thing over here, what's going to happen way over there?
To make this really click, let's use an analogy. I want you to stop thinking about building software as just writing text. Instead, I want you to think of it as conducting an orchestra. In this picture, the AI, that's your orchestra. It's got every instrument you can imagine, and it can play them perfectly on command. Python, JavaScript, SQL, you name it. But you're the conductor. Your job is to know the music, to understand how all the parts fit together, to know exactly when the strings need to swell and when the percussion needs to be quiet.
And here's the most important part. The AI provides the individual sounds, but a human has to provide the symphony. It can play the notes, but it can't compose the music. That's still our job.
Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Hey, isn't AI just the next layer of abstraction? I mean, we went from machine code to Python, and this is just the next step on that ladder. And you know what? That's a really tempting idea, but it's fundamentally wrong. Let's just look at the difference here. A traditional tool, like a compiler, is what we call deterministic. You put the same input in, you get the exact same provably correct output every single time. You can trust it without having to double-check its work. But an LLM, that's a collaborator. It's probabilistic. The same prompt can spit out different results, and there's no guarantee of correctness. You can only trust it by understanding and verifying what it produced. They're just not the same kind of thing.
And look, getting this distinction wrong, it has some pretty serious consequences. For a little while there, the industry kind of panicked, and it completely broke the traditional career path for developers.
Just look at this timeline. In early 2023, companies scrambled to adopt AI, and they slashed junior hiring. The thinking was, hey, we can just pair an AI with our senior devs and we're good to go. But then a funny thing happened. By 2026, the pendulum was swinging all the way back. And now, companies like IBM, Intuit, and Salesforce are all hiring for entry-level roles again. So what happened?
Well, they realized you can't just skip the part where people learn how to become conductors. They broke the pipeline that turns a junior player into a senior leader, and now they're rushing to fix it. They need people who can hold the entire system in their head and catch the AI's subtle, quiet mistakes.
So, okay, what does this all mean for you? It means there's a new curriculum for anyone building software today. You have to be deliberate about training the skill that people used to just absorb over years and years of experience.
And it really boils down to being able to answer 3 deceptively simple questions without even running the code. First, where does the state live? Meaning, who owns the single source of truth? Because if 2 parts of your system think they own it, you've got a bug. Second, where does the feedback live? How do you actually know if the system is healthy or if it's broken? And third, my favorite, what breaks if I delete this? Can you trace the blast radius of that change in your head?
All right, so let's get practical. How you use this depends on your role. For you junior folks, treat the AI like an infinitely patient senior dev. Ask it why all the time. For seniors, your job is to stay out of the weeds. Let the AI handle the boilerplate while you focus on the architecture and the tough judgment calls. And for all you non-technical people out there, you don't need to learn to code, but you do need to learn the language of systems so you can ask these questions.
So how do you actually build this muscle? Here are 4 simple, effective, and maybe a little unsexy practices. 1. Draw the system on a whiteboard before you write a single prompt. If you can't draw it, you don't understand it. 2. Write a simple spec that outlines the problem. 3. Mentally run that deletion test on your own code. And 4. Actually read and study the code the AI generates. Don't just copy-paste.
At the end of the day, it really just comes down to this. AI is a massive amplifier. If you are a systems thinker, it will make you unbelievably powerful. But if you rely on it without building that foundational understanding, it will expose you, probably at the worst possible time. And that's really the final takeaway here. This skill, the ability to conduct the orchestra, it's not something you can just get from a clever prompt. It's a discipline. It's something you have to deliberately build day in and day out. But the good news, it is totally learnable. The new curriculum is here. It's about building the theory in your head, not just generating the text on the screen. So are you ready to be the conductor?